guys, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and write your story today. We've been learning all about animals and actions and describing things and talking about how to make people talk when we're writing in Spanish. And last week I was going to have you write your stories because I'd like to get together and have a special Christmas party, and then you can show off your stories to everyone who's in Spanish class. So this is the paper you're going to get, either because your mom picks it up or because she prints it. And if you don't have these specific papers, it's okay. You can just use notebook paper. On this page is your title page. So you're going to go ahead and put the title of your story. You're going to draw a picture and you're going to say who it's by. And in Spanish, to say it's by somebody, you'd say por. So I would say por Rebecca Guerrero, to say who wrote the story that I'm about to write. Now, because you haven't written your story yet, you don't do your title page first. You save that till last. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it behind here, okay? Now, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and pick a character. Now, you've learned a whole ton of animals, so you're going to pick an animal for your character. You probably pick something else that's crazy, and that would be great, but I want you to try and stick with what you know. So I've chosen the elefante to be the protagonist of my story. A protagonist is basically the character that the story is about. So in Spanish, in English we say once upon a time. In Spanish you say había una vez. So I want to say once upon a time there was an elephant. This doesn't say an elephant, it says the elephant. So I'm going to say había una vez un elefante. And if it were a girl word, a female word like oveja, you would say había una vez una oveja. All right? So now I have introduced my character. El elefante is going to be the protagonist, the main character of my story. Now I want to write some sentences about him. We want to introduce him. So I'm probably going to introduce my elefante by describing him. So here we go, beginning of a sentence. So I'm going to use a capital E. And I need to say, el elefante es. So we're going to think of some describing words. What are some things? I could say el elefante es gris, but that's kind of boring. So how about I say el elefante es, I could say grande, whoo, y, and then let's make a crazy color, y azul. And then we're going to go ahead and put a period because we're at the end of the sentence. Okay? Then I want to say what his name is. So we're going to use a new phrase that we haven't really used, but you probably recognize, called se llama. I'm talking about myself, I say me llamo Rebecca. But we're talking about the elefante, we're going to say el elefante se llama, and then we're going to give him a name, Bob, because Bob is always a funny name. So we have había una vez un elefante. That's who I'm introducing into my story, and I'd like you to do the same thing. Había una vez un perro, había una vez una gallina, había una vez un ratón, etc. Un unicornio. You can look up an animal too. El elefante es grande y azul. So now you're going to take your animal, say what it is, es, el elefante es grande y azul. And then we're going to give its name, okay? Or you could switch it and do its name first if you want. The second thing we're going to do is choose a place, a setting for our story. The place where the story takes place is called the setting. So we have la casa, el prado, el árbol, el bosque. I'm going to choose a granja because you don't actually usually find elefantes in la granja, so it'll be funny. So I'm going to say el elefante. And then I could use a word that I haven't used with you before. Está is like is, but where something is located. Está en la granja. El elefante está en la granja. Or I could use another word that you've already used, which is a little bit more descriptive. As soon as I find it. I have so many verbs here. I wonder if you guys can guess the word that I'm going to use to say where the elefante lives. Elise. Here we go. I could also say el elefante vive en la granja. And again, this is a full sentence, so you need to add a period at the end, all right? Either el elefante vive en la granja or el elefante está en la granja. So, my story so far. Había una vez un elefante. El elefante es grande y azul, describing. El elefante se llama Bob. My animal's name is Bob, so you could say la araña se llama Eduardo. El cerdo se llama Pepe, all right? Then, where is the elefante? El elefante está en la granja, or el elefante vive en la granja. Thank you. All right. All right, so now that we've introduced our elefante, we're going to talk about what the elefante does, and these are all the verbs that we've learned so far. Es and son, remember, es means is, like el elefante es grande. Son is if you had two elefantes. Los elefantes son grandes. So those are a little bit new, but the rest of them, these are the verbs we've learned so far. And I want to think about what the elefante is going to do to make my story funny. So I could say, el elefante salta en el árbol, off the top of my head. I could also say, el elefante come. ¿Dónde está come? You guys aren't here to tell me. El elefante come los vegetales. Again, sentence, so it's a period at the end, capital letter at the beginning, always. So now I've just introduced a couple of action sentences. You can introduce as many action sentences as you want. Now this next part you don't have to do, but it might make the story a little bit interesting. We're going to introduce a friend. All right, the words for friend is el amigo if it's a boy who's a friend, and la amiga if it's a girl who's a friend. This is not boyfriend and girlfriend. This is a friend who's a girl, friend who's a boy, friend who's a girl. All right, so I am going to introduce el caballo as his friend. And remember, this is going to be a full sentence, so I need to put a capital letter at the end of it too. So I'm going to say el caballo vive, where's my in? En la granja. And then remember we learned this word, también, means also, very useful for sentences. También, and it's a full sentence, so I'm going to add a period. So here we have what the elefante is doing, and then we're introducing a friend. El caballo vive en la granja también. All right, so I just moved up the sentence I just wrote so I'd have more room. El caballo vive en la granja también. Now I want to say that he's a friend of the elefante, so I will say, capital letter, el caballo es el amigo del elefante. And what do we put at the end of a sentence? Period, un punto. De and de means of, del means of the. And this is just a little quick thing. Whenever you have de next to el, you can't say de el elefante because for some reason in Spanish that's wrong. So you have to change it to del elefante. And that's why we're writing del. If this were a girl word, it would say de la oveja. You only use del when this is a boy word. El elefante is a boy word because it starts with el. La oveja is a girl word because it starts with la and ends with the letter A. So, de la oveja. So now we've introduced our friend, el caballo. And they're friends, so they're probably going to talk to each other. So what word are we going to use to say what they're saying? The word is dice. And I dropped vuela. I know everyone loves to use vuela in their sentences. So we're going to find a way to use dice. How about we say, where's my good marker? Here's a good one. Keep losing all my colors. How about we say, not la oveja, perdón. El caballo dice, hola. And in Spanish, when something is an exclamation, it's really exciting, like hola. you're going to put an upside down exclamation point at the beginning and a right side up exclamation point at the end, because that's how they do it. So, la oveja dice, hola. El caballo dice, hola. And then el elefante dice, how about he says something about the weather? Hola, hace mal tiempo. And maybe we could end it there. Maybe the caballo could say, sí, hace mal tiempo, or no, hace buen tiempo. But you can keep the dialogue going with whatever you want to say. Try and stick with what you've already learned, otherwise it might get too complicated. If you have to look up a bunch of words in the dictionary, it means that you won't be able to go back and read it and understand it later. And it also means that you might write something incorrectly because you haven't learned how to put those words together. And in Spanish, you put the words together differently than you do in English. So it's good to stick with what we've already learned. So the caballo could dice, hola, adiós, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien, ¿cómo te llamas? Me llamo Bob. You do all sorts of the stuff that we learned, like weather, how old are you, how are you doing, what's your name, etc. All right, I'll leave how you want to finish the story up to you. You can keep on with the dialogue. You can talk about what your two animals do together. Remember that if two people are doing an action together, this magic N gets stuck at the end of your verbs, because you would say el caballo vive, but you would say el caballo y el elefante viven. So however you want to end your story now, just use your creativity. But when you are done, two magic letters that end a story. El fin, that just means the end. So as soon as you finish your story, you're going to take el fin and you're going to add it to the end of your story. All right, good luck writing your stories. I would like your story to be at least 3 or 4 pages long. Please illustrate each page beautifully, and make sure that you write your story on scrap paper first before transferring it to your nice paper. And then when you're done, just staple it. And when we have our Christmas party, which I don't know when that will be yet, but when we have our Christmas party, you want to bring your booklets of your stories to my house, and we'll display them somewhere and everyone can read each other's stories. All right? Adios!